or deficient art.
Welcome to No Instructions. I'm Bob.
No, I'm Josh.
Welcome, everybody. Hey. This is something new.
For real.
This is something we've never done before.
This is something we put together like an hour ago.
Yeah. So if you're new here, I don't know how many people are watching. We can't see that. But Josh and I do a podcast pretty much every week.
Yep.
Called No Instructions, where we build Lego sets or models. And Josh is doing a puzzle for the first time
today.
So this typically is not live, and it typically goes on a separate YouTube channel just for No Instructions. This one will end up there, but we figured lots of people are home right now, kind of quarantining, staying home, staying safe, and why not give it a shot to do it live?
Yeah.
And, we can kind of hang out. And so we're going to do it here on the main channel just to kind of spread the word. This video, like I said, will eventually be on the No Instructions channel, but you can also listen to this podcast through audio.
Mm-hmm.
Audio only on all the different audio players,
yep,
etc. Just so you know, this podcast is not really about making stuff. It's more about life, and
we talk about making stuff while we make stuff, but it's primarily all the other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the rest of life. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to hang out today, and then later on we'll take some questions from you who are watching live. So that should be something new and interesting.
And if you're in the chat right now, if you don't want to specifically ask us something, like tell us what you're doing. Tell us where you are in the world, how it's going, whether you've got toilet paper. We have a couple more rolls of toilet paper, so before we start to bust out socks. But
yeah.
If you're in the shop building something, let us know.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to hear how everybody's filling their time. At home, at Lego is a fantastic way to fill your time.
That's a fact.
Puzzles are also a fantastic way. Well, let's just jump into it like we normally do. And if people are not used to this, then they'll see what we normally do.
Yeah.
What are you up to?
I have to preface this. Man, I did it already. Preface this. I just got Invisalign. What day is it now? I got these Invisalign yesterday. So it's to help with my poppy and locky jaw, my breakdancing jaw. Supposed to make my teeth straighter a year from now, from what I understand. But this is my second day. Oh, I bumped the mic. And it gave me a little lisp, and I was not ready for that.
Yeah.
But they say it's supposed to go away after a day or two. I have to relearn how to say words with like a double layer of teeth. So it's strange.
Yeah.
But if I have a little lisp, give me some grace. I got these weird teeth force fields on.
Teeth. Oh, that's a good name for them. They should.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you think more people would pay for them if they were called teeth force fields?
Probably.
I would. I mean, I'm not gonna, but I would. So they didn't give you any heads up that it was going to affect the way that you talked? I mean, I guess it's temporary, and
I think it was all very fast. I sat down in the chair, and these are like clear little like mouth guards that there's one a week, and every week they would like adjust your teeth little by little. But to actually get them like in place, they have to put these weird little nubbin thingies on my teeth. So they had a little blueprint, and they're like, each one of these teeth gets this little, I don't know, like tooth, hard, resin, whatever, little nubbin thing on it. And it felt super crazy because there's like something stuck to the outside of your teeth and makes you feel like your teeth are all dirty. And then she put the little thingies in, and they lock in place. And I was like, wow, this is strange. And she did the like, put them on my teeth. She was like, okay, you're all done. And I stand up, and I'm like, oh, these are pretty neat. I'm like, holy crap, what's happening to my mouth? And she's like, oh, that'll go away. She's like, probably by the end of the day. She says adults are usually a little more resilient, and they'll kind of figure it out. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. I don't really like this. I talk for a living, and it feels weird. I can't eat or drink other than water. So like I wanted to have a cup of coffee and
with them in.
With them in.
Yeah.
But when I take them out, you feel the little nubbin things. There's like artifacts
little nubbin things
on my teeth. I don't like it. So I eat really quick. I brush my teeth and I put them back in, and my teeth are all super glossy.
High gloss teeth.
Yeah, the force field is very glossy.
Now I wonder if that's going to affect like how clean your teeth stay. I mean, I know stuff can get over them and all that, but it's kind of like a shield, right?
Yeah. Shield for teeth. Well, you're supposed to clean your teeth after every meal because when you put these things in here, you're really just like putting on a sweatsuit after you go to the gym. And so after every meal, they're like, you should probably go take a shower.
Yeah.
Because you put a sweatsuit on after you go to the gym, you're going to be like underlyingly stanky.
Don't be disgusting.
And get some grossness. Yeah. So after every meal, you're supposed to brush your teeth, brush out your little thingies, and put them back in. And it's weird. When I put them back in after I eat, it gets kind of sore because I imagine that my teeth, like a baby, if you unswaddle a baby and how their arms like shoot out, like, I imagine that's what my teeth are doing. And then I got to put them back in and just like snuggle them back all together.
Snuggle them back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not missing a piece.
This is a good commercial for Invisalign.
So there was a guy that I grew up with. Have I ever told you about Steven? I don't want to say his last name because if he somehow ran across this, I don't want him to think I'm making fun of him. That's not the intention. He was a good friend. He was a good guy. But he used to play a lot of Super Mario Brothers. Mm-hmm. And this is probably 3rd grade, 4th grade, something like that. He used to play a lot of Super Mario Brothers, and he talked with, it wasn't a lisp, but it was that saying where you have the extra spit in the sides of your mouth. I don't know what that's called, and I'm not trying to make fun of him. But I remember one time specifically, we were talking about Mario, and I was like, yeah, have you ever saved the princess? And he goes, yes, I saved her tons of times. And that was like the thing that stuck with me.
Man.
Poor Steven.
Poor Steven.
No, he was actually he was a cool guy, and I think he was really good at some martial art. I don't remember. And this is like
Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But Anthony did tell me that my S's sounded better today than I did yesterday. So hopefully
he's just trying to make you feel better.
He's a nice guy like that, even though he laughed at me behind my back. But I did notice this morning, because this whole thing is in an effort not to be really vain and have, perfect pretty teeth, but to get my jaw to quit locking up.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't realize about these little plastic tray thingies is that behind my front teeth, there's like a little shelf that like my bottom teeth rest on to try to put my jaw in proper alignment. And it kind of worked. Like I woke up this morning, and usually in the morning, it's like the Tin Man. I got to like get an oil can and break my jaw free. And this morning I didn't have to do it. And it was really cool. And I hope that it keeps doing that because it's very inconvenient.
My oldest son my oldest son has the same kind of, he has like an overbite, and it's not drastic or anything, but the orthodontist mentioned to him the same kind of thing, that little shelf is on the back of your teeth is supposed to stop. That's like where your teeth should hit.
Yeah.
And his misses it, and so that causes him to have, or I don't know if that causes or is a result of him having an overbite, but when they do Invisalign or braces or whatever in a couple of years, that will be the thing that they'll be trying to match up. So it kind of gave him some context as to, because his teeth are straight, it's not like he, needs to straighten them, but it would be a matter of correcting his overbite so that he doesn't end up with jaw problems later on, which was kind of interesting because when I was growing up, braces were, as far as I understood, were purely about like straightening jacked up teeth,
making you pretty.
I had a big gap. I still have a little gap, but I had a big gap in my front 2 teeth, and that was why I had braces, to try to get those together. And I don't think there's like a reason other than aesthetics to correct that, but I don't know. No idea. Anyway, so that's what's been going on with you. Yeah. That's cool. I mean, I'm glad
it's different. It's very different.
I'm glad you're on the way to fixing your jaw, though, because that's been like a persistent thing.
It is super annoying. It's the most frustrating thing. It happened to me one time, right after it happened once when I was in the Army. I got my wisdom teeth taken out. And anytime like I go to the dentist and I have my mouth open, while they're doing the cleaning, like I can guarantee that next day I'm going to have to be talking through like a gap in my teeth.
Yeah.
Or I just have to like break this joint in my face. It hurts.
Yeah.
And we were at Workbench Con, and I was having breakfast with some amazing people, and the whole time I realized that there's the hinge part in your jaw, like right by your ear, right there. If I press really hard right there, it can kind of like, I can prevent it from getting locked up. So the whole time I'm having a conversation, I'm like standing there with my fingers like pressed inside of my head, like I'm doing the like pantomime for like gonna shoot myself in the temple.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's a very interesting point. Thank you. I'm glad we're having this conversation right now. And I'm looking like
monetized by doing that.
Oh yeah, I can't do that. And I'm looking like an idiot, but I couldn't talk to anybody.
Maybe you need just like some sort of little thingy you can wrap around your head and just like some screws
We can do
drive
that.
in.
There we go, like a special helmet.
Yeah. Cool Frankenstein helmet, so you can put the little knob
Or
twist them in.
maybe some clear, silly force field things around my teeth.
or that.
Maybe that. Let's try that first.
Yeah, let's do that first. Well, that's cool. I mean, it sounds like it's going to take a while
Yeah.
to get corrected, but at least it's in process. That's good.
Inshallah.
Well, so I mean, stuff's pretty normal for me, except for this whole virus thing, which I guess is.
What are you talking about, virus
know,
thing, Bob?
I mean, it's the same for everybody, which is part of why we wanted to do this today.
Yeah.
Is just to, I don't know, just kind of be together with people. I will make a note that we are together, right? So we are obviously we are less than 6 feet apart, but we are in the same office. Anthony's here. We all live relatively close to each other and don't interact with a whole lot of other people.
Nope.
So we're trying to, as long as we can, continue to get together in the office and do our job and keep this whole thing going, business as usual. Of course, we will stop that if we absolutely need to. But as of now, that's why we're all still in the same place. So we'll kind of take that as we go. But everybody's home, so I figured it'd be a good time just to talk about what's up, what everybody's kind of dealing with and going through and all that type of stuff. For us, the only major change so far is the school thing. All of the schools got, told everybody to go home for an indefinite amount of time. But I have to say, at least locally, there's a couple of school systems where we live, and I am really, really proud of the school systems because nobody was expecting this. I'm sure they started thinking about it recently, but they are not set up and have not been set up for distance learning at all levels, right? Some high school kids have done it in the past, and sometimes they have certain programs for them. But to do, elementary school at scale, at a distance, they were not prepared, and they have very, very quickly kind of figured out how to do it. And it's changing all the time and all that, but it's really, really cool to see them put the kids' best interest out front, as always, and they are going above and beyond to make sure that everybody has what they need. Both the kids have what they need for the continued learning, but also the parents to be able to support that. The teachers are still doing lessons are still handing out stuff. We got report cards today. We had to go pick them up from the school. So it's...
Did you grab it with like some tongs?
I didn't go, but it's definitely different. And I think there's still a lot of stuff they haven't figured out. Especially it'll be interesting to see how they continue to do it long term. But I'm proud of them. I'm proud of that they're making a really big effort, and I think so far doing a good job at making sure everybody has what they need. That's cool.
Yeah, our homeschool group has been canceled for the foreseeable future because they keep the same schedule as the public schools. So public schools are closed. The co-ops will close as well. So my son had his big report to do about Vikings, and he was all prepared to give it. And then my wife came up the next day and was like, "Oh man, it's called the CC Classical Conversations. Like CC's canceled tomorrow." And he was like, "But I did all my work." And I went upstairs yesterday to go see your kids, and they're all in their pajamas, like playing, and some of them had done their schoolwork already. They had work on the computer, and I'm like, you guys have a glimpse as to what your friends, like my kids, do every day.
Yeah.
Because they both think that the other person's world is amazing because they don't know. My son still thinks public school kids are super cool and that public school is amazing. He doesn't know any better, not that it's wrong. And same thing for your kids. They think that they just hang out and actually, I don't know what they think. I know that one of your sons was like, so they just like hang out at home all day? I'm like, well, they have work to do. They have a curriculum. They have stuff that they need to get done, and they can kind of do it at their pace. And I was talking to your kids. They're like, I got all my work done already. I'm like, you see?
Yeah.
How awesome that is.
Yeah, it was funny. They were, the first day they were wondering like how much work it's going to be and how long it's going to take. And there was some confusion about how much they were going to be responsible for and stuff. Like I said, the teachers are still trying to figure it out and still trying to pass out the information to everybody. And when they got to the first day of doing this remote learning stuff, I think they were done with everything by like 10 o'clock in the morning. And they were like, whoa, this is awesome.
Yep.
And obviously it's not as much work as they normally are going to be doing because they're trying to cover the basis, but they're not flooding the kids stuff. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. We've been thinking for a long time about. I've been thinking about getting Chromebooks for the kids because, like, in our house, we're pretty tight about screen time. Our kids don't have their own devices. They don't have, they get limited video game time and computer time and stuff. And but we have one computer for the living space for all 4 kids, and so their homework has been more and more online. So I've been thinking for a while about getting Chromebooks for the kids, locking them down with parental control stuff, and so that they can all do their homework at the same time on the kitchen table. And up until a few days ago, that was like if we find a really good deal on them, because we have to buy 4 of them, if we find a really good deal, maybe, but we don't really need it. And then as soon as I heard the possibility of them being home from school and having to do it indefinitely, I'm like, oh, that's going to be a problem. That one computer is a big bottleneck. So I found a really good deal on a Chromebook online and ended up ordering them. So those are going to be in later this week. So that's going to be a whole new adventure for me of like locking down 4 of these machines that I don't really know a whole lot about. I've never really had one. And trying to make sure the controls are there, and that's going to be a bigger adjustment for me.
Yep.
Trying to figure that out, get it in place, set the ground rules for everybody. My wife is taking over making sure they're getting their schoolwork done while I'm working and stuff throughout the day. So that's a big shift for her. So yeah, my week is going to be a lot of kind of IT setup, I think. That should be, whatever. It is what it is. Have you had any trouble with like food supplies, getting places, any of that stuff yet?
I went grocery shopping. When was that? I left here Friday, probably Friday.
Yeah.
Then the only thing I went to Kroger, and we have 2 Krogers in town. We have one, and then there's the dumpier one. And I went to the dumpier one, and it was so strange. It was so strange in that the way that people were acting. There was no rioting. People weren't being mean or anything, but just it seemed like everybody was kind of on edge, and everybody was a little anxious. And I think collectively, if there was like an all call over the PA system, it's like, everybody stop where you are. And if you're nervous or scared right now, just like raise your hand. And like, I imagine that a lot of people would have went up, and it was just like, well, I don't normally think about buying hand soap. I mean, I wash my hands a lot. And so I have soap in my house. And I'd look at a shelf, and that shelf was getting pretty sparse. I'm like, oh crap, I need soap. Do I need soap? I think I should buy soap. I don't know when I'm not going to be able to buy soap. I'm like, This sounds stupid. I'm like, is it stupid? Because there's no toilet paper.
Yeah.
The entire aisle was completely emptied out. And so it made me like a little anxious and a little neurotic. I'm like, well, if it's toilet paper because people need to be able to wipe their butt whenever they're in isolation, like what other things do we do habitually with like a depleting resource? I was like, maybe washing clothes. And so like, maybe let's go and see if there's laundry detergent. And there's a group of people that I think had the same thought process. And you could see people like over there by the meat aisle. The butcher guy was like rolling stuff out. And there was just like little pockets of people to where the grocery store, if you could imagine like a standard distribution of people at the grocery store just kind of meandering around, there were little clusters around things that made me wonder like, well, what's over there? Like, should I get that? Yeah. Do I need to get that? Is it taking away from someone else if I do get that? And so I focused my attentions on cleaning supplies because it oddly made me feel better to do something. Like, even if my efforts were misguided, I bought laundry detergent. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a thing. It made me feel like I was preparing, even though we're pretty prepared as a general, like, we're from Florida. We're hurricane prep. We always just kind of have. But it's the things that you don't think about. Like, people go out and buy eggs and milk and bread. Mm-hmm. Eggs and milk and bread weren't really a thing people were dashing toward.
Really?
Yeah. It was like sanitization stuff. We tried to buy alcohol for these new 3D printers that we have.
Yeah, like
isopropyl alcohol. Couldn't find any. Your mom went to some dollar store and then like had to smuggle it in. It was some hot commodity.
It's kind of funny. So I went on Saturday to one of the Kroger, bought some stuff, and it looked. I was telling you guys earlier, it looked like there had been a sale. It was a little picked over, but there was still some meat. Like all the organic stuff was gone, and all of the this and that were gone. Milk was low, and then the next day I went to the other Kroger, the one that you were talking about, and it was very different. Like the meat aisle was gone, all of it. And, I'm not worried about that stuff because our supply chain is still in effect. Like, they will restock. My worry is just that people get that same sensation that you were getting in that situation where it's like, oh, I should probably be more prepared. I should just get stuff. I should buy 4 of these instead of 2 of these. Yep. I should buy 10 of these instead of 1 of these just because they may not be here next time. And you hear a lot of people talking about this, but that is the dangerous thing when you fall to that worry. I don't know. I think we're going to be okay. I think that in regards to the supply chain and food and supplies and stuff, I think that's not our big concern right now. So I tried my best to take a breath after seeing that meat aisle. I was like, all right, it's okay. Like everything's good. And so I was walking through trying to get the few things that were on our list that were just normal stuff that we would get. And I looked over and I saw a big end cap of Oreos.
Ooh, they had lots of end caps of Oreos.
Why is nobody buying Oreos? And I'm like, well, if I'm going to freak out and I'm going to get something I don't normally get, it's going to be Oreos. And I bought myself some Oreos and they're really good.
I like your thinking.
Yeah. I mean, of all the things that you could, unnecessarily buy. That
specific type of prepping that I think a lot more people need to invest in.
Yeah, you just got to keep that little flap sealed because when they get gross, when they get stale, they're not good.
But I was home this weekend and I purposely tried to social distance with my kids.
Yeah.
And they were bored and I was bored and it was very evident. And we didn't really do a whole lot. And I saw somebody on this Army account on Twitter was like, day 1 of self-isolation, I've eaten 6,000 calories, taken 200 steps, and I've watched, I've burned through all of my Netflix shows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yep.
Yep.
That's real. Like, kids have eaten half of the snacks in the house just because they're bored and they don't know what else to do.
Yeah. So my wife started taking, I'm not sure if they actually need to do PE for their school. I know one of my kids does because they have a sheet they have to check off. My wife decided to create PE, like home PE. So she took them out and they did a march down to a trail that we have near here. And they marched instead of walked. And
marched in time?
Yeah, actively, lifted your knees, made it a little bit more difficult. So she made it kind of a game to get them down there and then let them play for a little while and then made them run back and did some other stuff like that. She's taking them on bike rides. I think that's a big thing in stuff like this, even in the summertime when you're not really, intentionally isolated, when the kids just have less to do, being really diligent about creating some active thing that's not in the house. It's not run circles around the living room, but let's go ride our bikes. Let's go walk to a blank. Let's go whatever. And that's stuff you can totally still do right now.
We did that at our house. Yeah. Or my son did it. Yeah. I came home yesterday and he told me that they had PE. And I'm like, that's funny that you know what PE is, being a homeschool kid. And they were demonstrating. So there's a little cutout underneath our stairs, like a little Harry Potter nook. And he was like, here's the locker room. And all 3 of them went in there and put on different shirts. These are our workout shirts. And they were doing jumping jacks and they were doing push-ups. And my middle son, who is 5, my 9-year-old was like, okay, sit-up time. You have to do 15 sit-ups. And watching him do sit-ups was hilarious. He did them. Little man did them, but he was struggling and making that little grunting face. And I was like, well, this is fun. So I got down and you and I had this kind of personal challenge. I don't know how strong it's been lately of trying to do 100 push-ups a day. And I've gotten pretty decent at it.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, every 1 push-up you do, I will do 5. And so they all collectively got together and they did 5 or 10, whatever, a piece. And so I was getting down and doing push-ups and stuff with them. And they're like, okay, that was a good workout. And so
that's a good motivation.
Yeah, that's awesome. Doing those silly little things that I wouldn't have thought of. They came up with that all on their own. I was really proud of them because they were playing collectively and they're getting exercise.
Yeah.
And a week, man, what a week to be sequestered it's been garbage. The weather has
Yeah,
been
it's
nasty.
wet and cold.
Like we have a trampoline. I'm like, yeah, I want to go to the zoo. Maybe I can't
It's closed now.
yes, everything is closed. I'm
understand
trying to
it.
do my part.
Yeah.
I get it. It's
Right.
just frustrating because we're bored.
Yeah.
Now, we figured today, all of you may be bored as well.
Yeah. So one thing that on making it the other day, which is not out yet, but we recorded on Monday, and we were talking about things that you could do to try to stay busy if you're stuck in your shop and maybe you can't go get supplies or anything. Like, what can you do? And so we have a bunch of ideas on that show that'll come out. Hopefully it'll be helpful. But one thing that I realized, my kids get Kiwi crates, the Kiwi Co crates. My daughter never does hers. She just is too busy, too into everything. And so I realized when we were cleaning up the other day on Sunday that I had this stack of 11 unopened crates.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, that's kind of a lot of money, girl.
Yeah.
I'm like, so anyway, I put on Facebook, if you have kids at home that are going to be bored, here's 11 crates. Tell me how many you want. I'll try to spread them around. And the other night I got to drive around. It was Sunday night. Drove around in a couple neighborhoods near us and just dropped them off at people I knew at their house for their kids. But it got me thinking about, like, that's a thing that you can buy those crates. I wish they were sponsoring this episode. They're not. You can buy those crates one at a time or get a subscription. And you can actually go back and buy past crates, I believe. I don't know if you can still do that. But that, if you do that, you don't have to wait on like the upcoming month's crate delivery or whatever. So that might be something everybody with kids wants to look at because they are really, really fantastic. And they have from 0 to 2. Actually, now they have crates for adults. They have a maker crate now.
That's cool.
I wish, yeah.
Man,
This is not
Right,
sponsored.
Anthony, write that down.
Yeah.
Talk to KiwiCo.
Yeah. Anyway, it's really good stuff, and that might be something, to help keep you and or your kids busy. I'm switching sets. I just finished my old B-Wing Lego set, this is one of my favorite Star Wars ships. Anyway, finished that one up, and now I'm opening this. This is a Hidden Side set.
A what?
Hidden Side. It's this new Lego thing that I'm not really familiar with yet, but there's these sets, and then you use an app, and there's an AR component to it. So you build a thing, and then when you look at the thing through your phone, it looks like a spooky, I don't know. I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to make this one and try it out. Should be kind of cool. So on this show, if you're not familiar, if you're new to this, we always do the bag dumps on the show, and it's real loud and crinkly like that. And that's just it's part of the culture of the show, mainly because there's no other way to do it.
Because it's fun.
So I don't know if you guys want to start leaving some comments, leaving some questions. We could totally answer some questions if you have them about us, about family, about life, about I like to make stuff.
We actually have a super chat already.
We have a super chat.
Whoa.
If we want to answer that one first.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Super.
That other voice you may be hearing is Anthony,
Hello.
who runs camera for the videos and also kind of produces our podcast. Go ahead.
All right. So it's from Luther Woodworks, excuse me. And he said, favorite things from episode 7 through 9 of Star Wars. Yeah.
We'll start talking Star Wars.
Wow, that was quick.
And we'll no longer be taking questions after that.
Yeah. So,
Favorite thing.
favorite things. Okay, so we're going to intentionally not talk about things that we don't like.
Okay.
Does that sound like a pretty
Sure.
good plan? Okay. Favorite things.
I could crack your knuckles. Get ready for this
Yeah,
one.
gotta stretch
right,
out for this one.
everybody.
I really liked Kylo Ren.
Me too.
Fantastic performance, start to finish, every episode. Really interesting character that did not get enough exposure, but that's a negative thing, so I don't want to talk about that. I think it was a great character, and I would like to have seen a whole lot more.
Concur. Wholeheartedly concur.
You can't copy my answer.
You answered first.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think that Ben Solo's story, how he became Kylo Ren, the Knights of Ren, I think that entire channel could be explored on its own. I really wanted to like Rey's whole arc. Not that I didn't like it, I wanted to like it more.
Yeah.
We've talked about Finn and Finn's story and how I thought Finn's story, and the same thing, was it was underutilized, but I think that Kylo Ren had just enough allure, just enough action, the acting, the whole bit. I think Kylo Ren was MVP of 7 through 9.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing I really liked about him, I think one is that we didn't get all the story. I kind of like that there's a mystery around the specifics. It was like a lot of perspective about like who actually did a thing, you know, and like why he was driven away, whatever. I think that's cool. But I also just really like that he was right on the edge of being absolutely crazy and just flying off the handle. Like that was cool. Because, you know, the rest of the character, you kind of get a pretty good sense of Poe's always going to be the rebel and he's always going to do the thing he's not supposed to do. And, you know, Rey's always trying to figure out what's going on. And you know, everybody kind of has an expectation. You can kind of tell where they're going. And he was just, I don't know, kind of going in different directions all the time. So, got any more?
That was the only super chat we
Only
had.
super
But
chat.
the
If
chat,
you wanna jump in the super
Yeah,
chat.
explain what the heck super chat is for people who don't know.
Yeah.
super chat is just a little something YouTube does. You can have your message or chat or question or whatever held on the top of the chat, I guess. This is new to me. I'm still used to Twitch. But basically, you give us a few bucks, and we will see what you said, and it will stay there.
Yeah.
So you get some recognition out of it, you know, things like that.
We will try to answer the other questions as well, but those are definitely going to be out front and easier to see.
Yes. The chat is rather active, so I can pick out a question or two here.
Yeah, give us one.
I do have a pro and con from Legos Are Cool.
All right. So
Pro
what
and
we do,
con.
the pro and con is a thing we do on the show typically where somebody will say a thing, and then we say whether we think it is good or bad through pro or con.
Yep.
That's what that little segment is. All right, what we got?
Convertibles.
Okay.
Bro.
Pro?
Yeah, I had T-tops. My very first car had T-tops in it, and I loved it. And so if I could just get a convertible, dope. But I lived in Florida. I was watching ER last night. We finished up ER. Very last episode. One of the nurses got her son fixed up this car, gave it to this nurse for her birthday. It was a convertible, like really old 60-ish Mustang. And the whole time I went, that would be a very impractical car living in Chicago.
Yeah, you can use it like 2
That's a
months
great
out of the
gift.
year.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
There's a place somewhat, is it in Nashville, that has a convertible store. And I went, that's,
Convertible store.
it's a store like on the side of the highway that specializes in convertibles. I went, well, that's a gamble.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think I would rent a convertible maybe because it'd be fun for a weekend, but it seems really impractical. It seems like most of the time, regardless of where I lived, I wouldn't want to take the time to like push the button and wait the thing to go, and it's going over my head, and it's laying, and it goes all the way down. And
T-tops
I mean,
were
that seems
even
like that would be a
worse.
big pain.
T-tops, I had to take them off. I had to put them in a little protective sleeve thing. I had to find place for them in the trunk. And then when it started to rain, I'm like, I got to put them back on. And the seals kind of leaked.
Oh,
So it wasn't the greatest,
yeah.
but it was cool. And I felt cool. And that's all that mattered
Whether
with your
you
first
were
car.
cool
Yeah.
or not. Yeah, I mean, I guess, do we have like a middle ground between pro and con?
Meh.
Me? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm there. I'm not against them. I definitely would not buy one.
Okay, here's another question as I bump something on the computer. Let's go back to that. It is from Blaster Point, and he asks, when and how did you get into 3D printing?
Ooh, we have very different stories with this, I'm sure. I probably 2014 or something. There was a Kickstarter for a 3D printer called a Delta printer, and it was a Delta style. It was a $500 kit to build your own printer. It was like laser cut wood and acrylic, and I remember at the time getting a complete situation, like everything you needed, even if it was a kit. $500 was pretty cheap. Like most
yeah.
of them were, and so that was my like, wow, like I could probably afford that and get a 3D printer out of it. Like that's pretty cool. So I kind of jumped in it just because of the price point, not really having a specific thing I wanted to do with it. It was just kind of an interesting thing that was always in Make Magazine, and I'll give it a shot. Terrible printer. terrible.
It was
printer.
poopy?
It was terrible. I made a video about putting it together and everything, and yeah, disappointing. But it was enough to show me that I don't ever want to build printers. I mean, I have built them since then, but I really don't enjoy that process of building and tweaking a printer. I just like to have a working printer. It showed me that, and it showed me that with the right printer, you can do a whole lot of cool stuff. So that was kind of how I got into it. What about you?
There was definitely, man, that I listed
Definitely.
really hard there.
I say it tons of times.
There was definitely a group of people online. I think you were one of them, who were pushing this this new consumer technology with 3D printing, and I saw the amazing applications that, you know, you could take whatever you had in your head and you could model it, and then you wait a couple hours and you just have it. I remember when you put that Delta printer together, I was one of your patrons at the time, and you were talking about how you hated it, and I'm like, I want it. I will make something cool out of that thing. Give it to me. If you don't like it, give it to me. And you're like, no, you don't want this thing. It's pretty terrible. I'm like, no, I do. I want to make it, and I want to upkeep. I want the whole thing. And then I asked you a couple times, like on an aside, I'm like, okay, well, they were coming out with a new one that they wanted you to review, and I'm like, well, if you like it, let me know, because I'm in the market for one. It turned out you hated that one too. You didn't even put it in a video. You just like gave it back to people.
I gave it back to him.
And I'm like, well, crap. Printers are expensive. And then I found, we were traveling in the RV, and we went to a bunch of different maker spaces. And a bunch of maker spaces had printers, because this is kind of what they do. And one had a monoprice, little tiny cantilevered printer. It was like $200. And he showed me what they were printing off of it. And I compared that to the stuff that you were printing on, like the Ultimaker, what you had printed on that Delta printer. I'm like, wow, for $200, if I'm going to get this quality, like that seems like a great value. So I bought one. And it was a really great value. That was my very first printer. No, it wasn't. That was not my first printer. My first printer was one that I borrowed from a friend of mine. It was a Wanhao duplicator that you had to like spray the hairspray and stuff on.
Oh, wow.
It was janky.
Yeah.
I did not like it. It was a acrylic kind of case, and I remember it just being very frustrating and not doing what I wanted it to do. So then the monoprice, even though it was way cheaper, it was smaller. Like, it allowed me to do the things I wanted to do. And 3D printing for me, like on the channel, if we ballpark an idea, I will typically go, we can 3D print that. Even though I don't.
Yeah.
It's probably not the best way to do it as far as kind of spreading the wealth and showing people how to create in general. But I love printing. We have new resin printers now. I have a printer at my house. Like, I will be a 3D printing evangelist.
Yeah, I'm not. It's funny because anytime we have those conversations, you're always like, yeah, we could print this thing. And I immediately push back on it almost every single time.
Yeah.
And that's mainly to try to make sure that, you know, there is an alternative. Even if we do end up printing a piece, that there's another way to get the same thing done. Just because not everybody has access yet. And I think it's just a matter of time before that changes. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I enjoy 3D printing. I like the possibility of it and what you can do with it. But I also still am a little like frustrated with the inconsistency of it. Even if you have everything dialed, the failure rate, I think, is... And it's not even the rate. I think the thing is, like, if I go in and I try to make a piece with a bandsaw or whatever out of a piece of wood, if I fail, it's because I failed. And a lot of times you got to print something that is perfectly set up correctly, your file's right, it was modeled beautifully, whatever, everything is right, and it still just fails. And it's not because you can do anything about it. And I think that's the frustrating thing. Not enough that I won't ever use it, but it's like I would almost rather just lean on my own, you know, control ability, whatever, I think, in general. But I actually really do like it in situations where, like, there's no other way you could make that thing.
Yeah.
That's super cool. That's when it really shines for me. So, all right, Anthony, we got any more questions? How long have we been going? Anyway?
It's been 40 minutes.
Wow. Wow.
Darth Thanos asks if you could say suffer and succotash.
Suffer and succotash!
And Bobby Fisher.
Hold on. Anthony, do you know what character that comes from?
Daffy Duck.
Okay, go. I'm just making sure.
Good.
I'm not that far distance. Okay. Bobby Fisher, pro con, the days.
Pro. I perused the toilet paper aisle as a voyeur. I went, interesting.
Look at all this.
Me and my bee gonna be clean.
I still have zero. I don't know. I have no input on that one at all.
That needs to change.
I guess so. I think it's one of those things I'm actually a little resistant to, just because people who like bidets are like crazy bidet people to me. Yourself included. It's like, let me tell you how awesome this is. And you're like, okay, calm down a little bit. But, I'm exaggerating, obviously. But people that really like them really, really like them. And that makes me want to back off a little bit. I think that has been part of why I've been resistant to trying them. Also, I've not had that many opportunities to. What else we got?
From Words and Wood, he says, so all 4 of you have a beard. When was the last time you were clean shaven?
Clean shaven.
I got a clean shaven story.
Okay. Well, I don't. So let me just say,
Go for it.
4 or 5 years ago, something like that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was like 5 days ago for me.
Yeah.
You look silly.
You looked like a little baby.
It felt silly.
All right, what you got, Josh?
So I was in the Army, if people don't know that. I had to shave every day. It was very frustrating. You would get in big trouble if you had, like, stubble. So the whole thing I just resented. I resented the fact that someone was in charge of my facial hair. So the minute that I separated from the Army, I didn't shave again. I worked with a bunch of veterans. I worked on an Army base. I had my neck beard all growing out because I didn't know how to maintain a beard. But I had to give a presentation to the base commander. We wanted to expand this teaching capability that we had. And because I had just recently separated, I know how people think. And I'm like, I should shave because I want to come across as a professional, and I want to come across as someone that they can relate to because I was Staff Sergeant Price 10 minutes ago. So I shaved off my middle finger to the Army beard, and I was sitting there in my nice clothes, and I'm ready to give this presentation I worked really hard on. I'm going to sell this capability to like the base commander and all these people. And one guy that I know that's one of the contractor representatives comes out, and I'm like, all right, it's go time. Let's do this. I've prepared. He's like, no, man, it's great. They read your proposal. They love it. They're all on board. He's like, they're good. I'm like, what do you mean they're good? He's like, no. He's like, the proposal that you wrote, he's like, totally sold it. He's like, everything's fine. He's like, we'll amend the contract and everything will be great. And like, gave me a high five. And I was like, you dirty, dirty curse word. And I walked away with just this like stagnant face. I'm like, you should be happy right now. This is what you wanted. I'm like, they made me shave my beard off.
They didn't make you shave your beard.
Never again. And the president of my company came down and was talking to me about it. And she came down probably a week or two. It was probably 2 weeks or so after. So my beard was back. And I was still feeling out the like civilian community. And I remember she had to go somewhere and I was driving with her. And she would ask me how the proposal went. I'm like, yeah, they made me shave my beard off. And she's like, I'm like, can I have a beard? She's like, I don't care if you have a beard. Like this really stupid response. And I'm like, I don't know if you get that. Like I had to ask permission to do the most mundane things.
Yeah.
And so thank you. But yeah, that was the last time. And I'm not doing it anymore.
It's such a pain. I really dislike shaving.
Hooray for Dollar Shave Club and things like that are, I mean, they're not sponsoring anything, but like that are making shaving easier. But there were so many hurdles to like, why do I have to do this every day? Why is it so expensive? These are all lose situations for me.
Yeah.
So no longer.
No more. All right, we have any other questions?
Yeah. Wow, look at that chat.
Boom.
Look at the chat.
Whoa,
Yeah,
the overlay decided to start working.
It's covering up Josh.
Yeah. Run
fine.
away, Josh. I'll make it go away for now.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. We had another one from Michael Lawson, and he was wondering if we had settled on our D&D characters yet.
Okay, so for anybody new, I'm kind of doing some recap stuff because I assume a lot of you have never seen or heard this show before. We've talked about doing Dungeons and Dragons, playing Dungeons and Dragons. None of us have ever played.
Nope.
I don't think. And I've always wanted to. The other guys have always kind of wanted to as well. And so I brought it up as a, hey, we should just do this. And we've not done it still. But the first step in playing is making your own characters. I wanted to be the dungeon master because that sounds like a lot of fun to me where you don't make a character, but you kind of help the game move and go and happen and stuff. And so that's where I'm focusing. So I don't necessarily need to make a character, although I may at some point. But you guys worked on your characters on one of our car trips.
Yeah. We worked on our preliminary road trip silliness characters.
They were pretty funny.
I don't think they're ones that we're going to settle on. And I say we, it was Anthony and I. I had my laptop open in the back seat, and there's a guide, and we filled in the guide. Anthony's character was almost a one-for-one Dwight Schrute replication. His name was Dwigged.
That's still you can totally use that name for.
Yeah, I
whatever you
really
do.
like that name.
I
It's
definitely
awesome.
will. I mean, that's ripped straight from the show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
his threat level midnight character.
That could be the world that
Yeah.
takes place in for us.
Yeah.
He tried to overthrow the manager of a company and then got banished to the Stopples, the island of Stopples.
Yeah.
Silly. My character's name was Draxwick because I imagined him being a combination of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy with a tortured past and his family was slaughtered warrior with John Wick who just wants to be left alone. And the moment that somebody messes with him, he kind of will light the world on fire. But then we met up with some people at Workbench Con. Met up with Win Geeks Craft, this awesome DIY channel, who told me specifically that I should not do that character. I should be a character more like myself. And apparently there is such a character that's very snide and sarcastic.
One way to like describe yourself.
Yeah,
Snide.
she was very quick with like, no, you're a this.
Oh.
And then I read up on it. I'm like, ow? Yes? I'm self-aware enough to realize my faults, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So I thought about it during this whole like lockdown thing, if that was a task that if we eventually are separated as a triad to where we have to go home and not get work done, that we would just like figure out D&D characters.
Yeah, we could Skype a game.
Which I think they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool. So I haven't made a character, but I probably will at some point, just to have a backup in case somebody else, we play with somebody else and they're the DM for the game. And I'm sure some of the people listening or in the chat right now probably play D&D. So if you have some resources or something.
We've had quite a few emails from a lot of nice people.
We have, yeah.
Giving us a lot of resources, which is helpful. But still, at this point, a little overwhelming.
Yeah, because until we've actually done it, it's like people will give us this information. I'm like, I don't know what to do with that yet, because we haven't actually tried it. So maybe we should just do that one night anyway. Just even if we do it on Skype, just go ahead and have a bad first game, get it out of the way.
I sourced some dice on Etsy.
Oh, cool.
And they're like $7. They're really cheap. And then I welded that 12-sided die that everybody keeps telling me we need to use as the special whatever one.
Way to destroy your table by dropping
I think it is like it has a special name. Brett McAfee wrote me because he made a video where he made a 12-sided die because he's a D&D player.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And he did pretty much the same thing that I did with that welding kit. And his looked nicer than mine. I think it goes without saying.
Yeah. Cool. All right, what else we got?
We have a couple more super chats actually.
Do it.
And I just lost them.
Oh no.
Come on back now.
I want to do them in order. There we go. All right. So from Ken Maria. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Woo finally figured out super chat. I was a Twitch subscriber and
cool.
And it got cut off for a long time. Added Patreon, and then you stopped streaming. Is Twitch coming back?
So, in case you weren't aware, we used to stream every week on Twitch from inside the shop. We would be working on some project and do a live stream during that process. We stopped doing it for a few reasons. The biggest of which was Twitch is very interactive live streaming, and I really like that part about it, but that makes it pretty difficult for me, not for other people, to actually be productive while you're streaming. There's other people that do woodworking and do props and all sorts of stuff, and they are really good at interacting and building or whatever at the same time. It was difficult for me, and to be perfectly honest, it didn't make that much money. And so dedicating multiple hours in the middle of the week as unproductive time and it not turning around and making money for itself was, we did it for 3 years. 4 years
It got really hard to justify.
Yeah. Because we have multiple people here, we have salaries, we have schedules and all that stuff. And It just got kind of hard to do. So the long answer is probably not. Not on a regular basis, anyway. I mean,
We thought about doing it today. We actually talked about it. I wonder if the percentage of Twitch streams are going to go up. I just had a conversation actually with a company, and the data that came out said that there was a 35% increase in China over streaming media over the last month.
Yeah.
So I imagine that people on Twitch streams that are able to have more like one-on-one content, kind of like we're trying to do right now, like are going to flourish because that's people's social interaction.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it will go up quite a bit. So, yeah, for now, to answer your question, probably not on a regular basis anyway. Maybe we'll try to hop on some during the weeks and do some during all of this stuff that everybody's dealing with.
But if this is working, let us know how this is doing because we do this during the week anyway.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
if this is working, let us know.
Yeah. What else we got?
Let's have a look. I think we have one more super chat. I'm gonna go
Okay.
check
Well,
on
we're
it
at
real
like
quick.
51 minutes, so we probably got to wrap it up soon anyway.
Okay.
So let's do whatever is left. And we'll
Okay. Yeah. Caleb Brewer wanted to know how you all became Christians, not to increase the JPMs. Nice little shout out to the No Dumb Questions podcast there. Just curious.
well,
That could be a hard one to answer in a short amount of time.
That's a pretty big. Honestly, I grew up. That's my family. It was a big part of going to church, and my family were all Christians, and it was part of my process growing up. I was probably 9 years old or something when it kind of solidified for me. That's the short answer, I think.
I grew up in a Baptist church, and I didn't understand what in the world I was doing, but some very loud person told me that if I said some words, and I could go to heaven. So I did that, and then I sat back down like they wanted me to. And then I went and joined the Army. I went to college and joined the Army and kind of fell away from my faith because it wasn't really up front in my mind. And then my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and she was an extremely faithful person. And I wanted to emulate the faith that she had, so I started going back to church. I started reading the Bible for myself instead of listening to pompous old men yell at me about it. And I found a lot of things made sense to me, where the things that I was being hollered at made absolutely no sense. So I examined the faith a lot deeper on my own than was required of me as a young child in the Southern Baptist Church. And I came to have a real relationship with my faith rather than just sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my initial interaction was probably, it wasn't as aggressive as what you're talking about from having it pushed on me, but I understood it at a very thin level, and then probably in college was where I think I owned it a little bit more, and where I wasn't required or socially required to be a part of the same stuff that I was when I was in high school or like under my parents' roof. And so I had to decide whether I wanted to own a lot of parts of my life for myself or not. And that was one that, whoa, little transition there. That was one of the things that I got to flesh out a lot in college. So, and own it for myself. So that's
Awesome.
an answer.
All right. I think we have time for one more.
All right. Yeah.
Real quick, Rob Garcia just super chatted us $5 with no questions. So
Thanks,
that's
Rob.
awesome. Thank you very much, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
We really appreciate that.
That's super cool.
So let's see. Let's find
One of my cool
one
set.
more
I did my
good
little
question.
dragster. Hop in on this.
I'll give you a close up there.
Woo! Look at that.
Nice.
So this thing has a little
Whoa.
thing you can shoot the bad guy out of the back. I don't know why there's a cannon on the back of this dragster, but whoa!
I think the
lost
real
him.
question is why not. All right. One last questions. Why is Bob using instructions during no instructions?
So the name No Instructions
Let him have it, Bob.
has nothing to do with these instructions. Which I know is ironic. But the whole no instructions thing I think is a little bit more about life. Life has no instructions.
It's a metaphor, people.
Yeah.
Metaphor means I'm kidding.
I don't know if it's actually a Is it a metaphor?
Yeah. I always imagined it was a metaphor.
It's literal, though. I mean, there's no instruction. Anyway, that's why. Yeah.
I'm doing a puzzle that has no instructions.
That is true. That is true. And I feel like we did something else that didn't have instructions.
I did one Lego set one time that I just looked at the picture on the box and I made the whole set just by looking at the picture. And then something happened and we never aired that episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's somewhere. I don't remember where it went, but yeah, I have done a set on this show without instructions. I was very proud.
Yeah.
And then realized like, oh, none of that worked.
What I'd like to do one of these days, a thing that me and some friends did, I would like to do build and pass. And we got to get through these. A lot of these sets are things that I've had for a very long time that I've had in bags, and I want to rebuild them all. And then a lot of them are just cool new things that we buy. But I want to get not my kids' Lego, my Lego out, set them up here, and you do this game where you build for 15 minutes and then you pass it to the next person. So you can do it with as many people as you want. You pass it, and then they have 15 minutes to build whatever they want to on it. They can start over, they can change it, they can whatever, and then you just keep passing it. So if you do it between two people, you're just passing back and forth. Do it for like an hour, and it's a lot of fun, and you end up with really, really crazy builds. So we'll do that one of these days. And that has no instructions. Long way around.
Yeah.
I know I said one more question, but Rob did come through with an actual question after
Okay.
his super chat, so we figured we'd throw that one in.
Do it, Rob.
To end it. He said, first of all, this should be live more often. Noted. Whoa.
Jinx.
And
I think I get to punch you now.
is that how it works?
I don't think so.
Good.
Yeah. Don't teach the kids that one.
Yeah.
Violence in the workplace.
Any thoughts on doing no instructions live in the future?
Live on
Like
here.
this?
Like just like doing this again?
Yeah, I mean, I think
It's pretty seamless for us.
yeah, it takes the same amount of time for us, and it's actually kind of cool to interact with you guys. So I don't see why we couldn't. And now, like I mentioned before, No Instructions has its own YouTube channel, so we would have to figure out, and it has much smaller viewership. So we'd have to figure out whether we want to do it over there, do it over here, and then move the videos or whatever. Maybe do it on Twitch and then move the video. I don't know.
Ooh. Wait, 2 birds with 1 stone there.
Yeah. So I think we definitely could look into figuring that out, especially if you who are listening or watching like it. All right, let's wrap it up. I hope that we have given you a distraction from being home and distancing. I hope that you have enjoyed hanging out, and thank you for hanging out with us during this time. Stay safe, stay healthy, be smart, and make sure, this is a big thing that's been on my mind lately. If there's something in you that, if there's something in your mind, in your heart, that says, I should check on so-and-so. Check on so-and-so.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not saying, I don't mean that in like a weird way or like there's something wrong, but if somebody's on your heart, somebody's on your mind, reach out to them. Everybody could use some community right now, right?
That's fantastic advice. And I think we pushed for this today in this format to prove that very point. That you're at your house, you're hanging out with us now, we're in your shop. You could do this with anybody. Like my dad has Google Duo. My dad has an Android phone, I have an iPhone. Those normally don't like to talk to each other over FaceTime, so get Google Duo. I can call him up anytime I want to, and he can like set the phone in his pocket of his t-shirt and walk around his house. So during this time, like, form those relationships when you can. What a time to be alive, right?
Yeah.
During the pandemics of the past, you were literally stuck in your house.
Yeah.
Or you should have been stuck in your house. Now, so much of the world is online that you can use that for good. Not as a distraction from the now, but to build a relationship. Not as something to, take your mind off the fact I'm stuck at home. Like, turn it around. We have digital plans that I've been posting on Instagram and things. If you want to go out and make your time productive, go and take care of a project like that has been nagging, but you haven't had the time to do it. Take your kids with you.
Yeah.
They're home, probably.
There's probably a stack of home maintenance stuff. Clean out your gutters, change all the knobs on your doors, or I don't know. There's stuff that nobody ever wants to do, but you need to do. It's a good time to do it. And involve your kids. That's an excellent point. So, hope you're well. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll do this again at some point. Where can people find you?
On the internet at Josh_makes_stuff.
You can find me and all of us at I Like to Make Stuff on all the stuff, except for Twitter, where there's only one F. You can yell at Twitter about that. It's not my fault. Thanks for hanging out. Also, a big shout out to our Maker Alliance members who help support I Like to Make Stuff as a whole. They get early videos, they get exclusive videos, they get free plans. Some of them, they get monthly Google Hangouts, all sorts of stuff. Go check that out if you want to. It's on the screen.
There's a video right now that we don't have sponsorship approval for, but I kind of want to go ahead and give it to the Maker Alliance anyway.
Yeah, may as well.
There we go. So It's a cool video that no one else has gotten to see. No one else has gotten to see. Good grief.
You got to see it yet.
That's not funny. I'm only allowed to do this myself. But head on over to Patreon, or so you're here on YouTube right now. Click the Join tab and check out all the different things that are available to our Maker Alliance. It's just a combined name that we give Patreon and YouTube members, so we don't have to say it individually.
Yeah, but we did anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for hanging out, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
That's not funny. Bye-bye.